The year was 1985. A man walked into the American embassy in Moscow. He wore a gray coat, not fashionable, not threadbare. His shoes were clean, but not polished. He carried a briefcase that looked like 10,000 other briefcases you might see on a Tuesday morning in any city on Earth. He waited in line, filled out a form, exchanged a few words with a clerk, and left. Nobody looked twice at him. His name was Aldrich Ames. He was a CIA officer, and he had just committed what would become one of the most damaging acts of espionage in American history, passing critical intelligence to the Soviet KGB. He did it in plain sight. He did it in one of the most watched, most surveilled buildings in all of Moscow. And for nearly 9 years, nobody noticed him. How? How does a man walk into the lion's den, exchange secrets with the enemy, and disappear back into the ordinary world without leaving a single ripple of suspicion? The answer is not gadgets. It is not disguises. It is not running through shadows or leaping from rooftops. The answer is far more unsettling and far more fascinating. The answer is psychology. The answer is the human brain. And the answer is the deeply underappreciated art of being completely, utterly, magnificently forgettable. Welcome to a world where the most dangerous person in the room is the one you never remember seeing. If this kind of deep, real psychology intrigues you, hit subscribe, drop a like, and share this with someone who loves the science of the human mind. And if you've ever tried to go unnoticed in a crowd or noticed someone who seemed to vanish, leave a comment below. We read every one. Now, let's dive into the real story, the principles, the science, and the secrets behind one of the most remarkable human skills ever cultivated, the art of being nobody. Your brain is not a camera. It does not record everything it encounters in faithful, high-definition detail. Instead, your brain is a ruthless editor, constantly deciding what matters, what to remember, and what to discard as irrelevant noise. Scientists call this selective attention. Intelligence operatives have been exploiting it for over a century. Think about your morning commute. You likely passed dozens of people. How many faces can you recall? How many clothing colors? How many voices? If you're like most people, the answer is remarkably few, and the ones you do remember stand out for a reason. They did something unexpected, something emotional, something that broke the flow of ordinary experience. A man once walked through Pike Place Market in Seattle, dressed as a gorilla. He shook hands with vendors, bought fish, sat down for coffee. Researchers later surveyed bystanders. A significant portion had simply not registered him. They were focused on their shopping, their conversations, their own inner worlds. Their attention was elsewhere. The gorilla didn't exist for them because their brains had decided he wasn't important. This is the first great secret of intelligence tradecraft. Your brain is not protecting you as well as you think. The gorilla is always out there, and the skilled operative has learned to become the gorilla, not to be outlandish, but to exploit the blind spots that already exist in every human mind. Memory, psychologists tell us, is not a recording. It is a reconstruction. Every time you remember something, your brain is reassembling a fragmented impression, filling in gaps with assumptions, coloring it with emotion, and discarding everything that didn't seem meaningful at the time. The implication is profound. If you can control what is emotionally and contextually meaningful about your presence, you can control what gets stored and what gets erased. In one famous study by psychologist Elizabeth Loftus, witnesses to staged crimes routinely misidentified, confused, or completely forgot key details, even things they had directly looked at. The brain doesn't photograph, it interprets. An interpretation requires contrast. It requires something different, something remarkable. If you are unremarkable, you are literally unmemorable. This is not an accident. This is science. An old intelligence trainer in London reportedly told his recruits, "You are not trying to hide. You are trying to become statistically average. The safest hiding place on Earth is not behind a locked door. It is inside the vast, anonymous ocean of the completely ordinary." Every environment on Earth has a personality. A library has a rhythm, hushed, deliberate, slightly self-conscious. An airport has a different rhythm, hurried, distracted, perpetually transitioning. A market has another sensory, unpredictable, alive with negotiation. A park has yet another leisurely, present, unhurried. The skilled operative doesn't just dress for the environment, they absorb it. They study its rhythms, its unspoken dress codes, its typical facial expressions, its standard pace of movement. Then they replicate it, not perfectly. Perfect replication is its own kind of oddity, but convincingly enough to disappear into the statistical average of everyone else who belongs there. An intelligence professional working in Karachi once described entering a busy bazaar by watching it for 20 minutes from a tea stall before setting foot inside. She noted the pace of walking, not too fast, not leisurely. She noted the eye contact, brief, functional, never lingering. She noticed that people carried bags in their left hands, not their right. She entered, matching every detail. She completed her task and left. No one remembered her. The bazaar had absorbed her entirely. This principle's behavioral matching is one of the most powerful tools of tradecraft, and it requires no equipment, no disguise, no technical expertise. It requires only careful observation and the discipline to subordinate your own habits to the habits of your surroundings. Here is something that surprises people when they first hear it. The person most likely to be noticed and remembered in any environment is not the one who dresses dramatically. It is the one who dresses slightly wrong. Wear a tuxedo to a rock concert and people will assume you're making a statement. But wear a business shirt that's just a shade too formal for a casual Friday office and every single person's subconscious will register a small alarm. Something is off. That alarm doesn't always rise to conscious thought, but it creates a memory tag. And memory tags are exactly what the invisible person is trying to avoid. The human brain is extraordinarily sensitive to contrast. We evolved to notice difference. It was a survival mechanism, a shape that moved differently from the others, a sound that broke the pattern, a face that carried the wrong expression for the social context. An old KGB manual reportedly instructed officers that the most dangerous wardrobe choice was not being overdressed. It was being slightly mismatched. The goal was to appear as though you had gotten dressed without thinking about it. Because that is exactly how most people in most environments get dressed, thoughtlessly, normally, unmemorably. Human social interaction is governed by unwritten rules, and these rules are astonishingly consistent across cultures. We expect greetings to be brief. We expect eye contact to last between 1 and 3 seconds before being redirected. Any less feels shifty, any more feels threatening or intimate. We expect conversations with strangers to follow a narrow range of acceptable topics, weather, directions, small pleasantries. When these rules are followed precisely, neither too warmly nor too coldly, the brain registers the interaction as normal, files it immediately into the category of nothing remarkable, and moves on. The interaction leaves no emotional footprint. Emotional footprints are the enemy of invisibility. When a stranger is too charming, you remember them. When they are rude, you remember them. When they make you laugh, when they make you uncomfortable, when they say something surprising, the brain flags this. The amygdala lights up. The memory is strengthened. Tony Mendez, the CIA exfiltration officer famous for the Canadian Caper, the operation that rescued 6 American diplomats from Tehran in 1980, wrote extensively about the principle of emotional neutrality. The goal, he explained, was not to be liked or unliked, but to be processed. To pass through another person's awareness the way a page of fine print passes through the eyes of someone not interested in reading it, seen but unretained. Movement attracts attention. This is primal. Our visual system is hardwired to track motion, especially motion that deviates from expected patterns. A person who walks too quickly through a quiet neighborhood triggers subconscious alarms. A person who stops and starts unnaturally in a train station creates friction in the visual field. The trained operative walks at the speed of purpose without urgency. not the rushed walk of someone late for an appointment, not the dawdle of someone lost. The pace that says, "I know where I am going. It is not urgent, and nothing about this moment is unusual." Researchers in pedestrian psychology call this the baseline gait, the speed and style most common to a given environment at a given time of day. There is another movement principle that is rarely discussed outside intelligence circles: smooth transitions. The human eye is particularly drawn to jerky, unexpected changes in direction. A person who rounds a corner cleanly, who enters a doorway without hesitation, who sits down in one fluid motion, they register as belonging. A person who pauses at a threshold, who glances back before entering, who adjusts their posture self-consciously, they register as uncertain, and uncertainty is a flag. Rudolf Abel, the Soviet intelligence master who operated in New York for years before his capture in 1957, was later described by his FBI handlers as remarkably ordinary to encounter in person. He had a quality of appearing entirely unhurried, as though the world could wait for him without any consequence. That quality was trained, a practiced stillness that communicated belonging to every environment he entered. Human beings are deeply, instinctively tribal. We are constantly and largely unconsciously scanning our environment for signals of belonging. Does this person look like they should be here? Do they move like someone who has been here before? Are they dressed like the people around them, carrying the things people here usually carry, doing the things people here usually do? This scanning happens faster than conscious thought researchers suggest within the first 200 milliseconds of encountering a new person. And if the answer to those silent questions is yes, the person is filed, ignored, and forgotten before conscious attention ever gets involved. The operative's challenge is to infiltrate the group identity of a space, to convincingly communicate membership. And membership is communicated not through grand gestures, but through tiny, accumulated details. The brand of coffee cup they carry, the newspaper under their arm, the way they nod at the receptionist, the phone they use. The slightly world-weary expression of someone who does this every day. A young analyst from British intelligence described working a surveillance detail at a conference of financial professionals. She had spent 2 full days beforehand watching footage of similar conferences, studying not the presenters, but the audience, their particular brand of boredom. The way they checked their phones, the specific posture of people pretending to be more interested than they were. She replicated it exactly. She was invisible. Eye contact is one of the most sophisticated social instruments in human behavior. It communicates everything: confidence, aggression, intimacy, suspicion, recognition. And it is extraordinarily difficult to get right when you are trying not to be noticed. Because both too much and too little eye contact will get you remembered. Too much direct eye contact reads as predatory or overly focused. Too little eye contact reads as furtive, nervous, guilty. People remember the person who never looked at them, just as they remember the person who looked too much. The precise calibration, brief, natural, friendly, without warmth, is what intelligence trainers call casual regard. You notice people the way people notice each other in functioning social environments. Enough to acknowledge shared humanity. Not enough to create a moment. In and out of the visual field in under 2 seconds. Filed as ordinary person. This calibration takes months of practice. The instinct under stress is either to stare or to avoid. Both are wrong. The trained response is the middle path, executed without appearing to think about it. Here is a profound truth about human memory that most people have never consciously considered. Your memory does not record continuous experience. It records highlights, peaks of emotion, moments of surprise, the beginning and ending of episodes. Everything in the middle, the ordinary, the predictable, the contextually consistent, tends to dissolve. Psychologists call this the peak-end rule. We remember the most intense moment of an experience and the way it ended. The vast middle, where most of life actually happens, is largely forgotten. This means that the operative who controls both their emotional peak, keeping it flat, neutral, unremarkable, and their exit, clean, ordinary, unnotable, has effectively controlled their entire memory signature. They have engineered their own forgetting. In practice, this means don't make a joke, don't complain, don't show frustration, don't be the most helpful person in the room, don't be the least, don't say anything that could be quoted back later. Every one of these things creates a highlight. A highlight gets remembered. And being remembered is a mistake. There is a moment that experienced intelligence officers describe with something close to fear. It is the moment when someone in their environment becomes curious about them. Not suspicious, just curious. Curious is often worse than suspicion. The antidote to curiosity is not evasion, it is boredom. Making yourself boring before anyone has the chance to become curious. This is done through anticipatory normality, signaling ordinariness so efficiently and completely that curiosity never gets a foothold. A person who appears to be doing something recognizable doesn't invite questions. A person reading a newspaper, typing on a laptop, or sitting quietly doing something common to the environment answers the unspoken question, "Why is this person here?" before it is asked. One of the most important conceptual distinctions in all of intelligence tradecraft is the difference between being visible and being memorable. They are not the same thing. Being visible simply means occupying physical space in the world, which all of us do. Being memorable means creating a lasting impression in the cognitive architecture of another person's mind. And this can be controlled, minimized, managed almost to zero. The professional understands that you can be completely, openly visible walking through a crowded market, sitting in a busy cafe, standing in a government building, and still be forgotten the moment you leave the room. The art is not becoming a ghost. The art is becoming wallpaper. At this point, you might be thinking, this is fascinating, but what does it have to do with me? I'm not a spy, but consider, have you ever wanted to observe a social situation without becoming the center of it? Have you ever wanted to be present in a room without drawing attention? The principles we've explored apply far beyond the world of intelligence. They apply to journalism, to research, to negotiation, to networking, to travel. They are principles of social intelligence, the ability to read an environment accurately and respond to it appropriately. The person who understands baseline behavior in different environments becomes more flexible, more perceptive, more socially fluent. They become better readers of the room. And perhaps, most importantly, they develop situational humility, the understanding that sometimes the wisest thing you can do is step back into the ordinary and let the room breathe around you. In 1972, a CIA officer working under a diplomatic alias was staying at a hotel in Warsaw. Polish security services were watching Western diplomats closely. He needed to make a dead drop without being followed. For 3 days before the drop, he established a routine: a morning walk to the same bakery, a newspaper from the same kiosk, a bench in the same park. By the 4th morning, the surveillance team had categorized him as predictable. On the morning of the drop, he followed the routine exactly, until a 2-minute window when he deviated cleanly, made the exchange, and returned to the pattern. The deviation was so brief and so embedded in the ordinary that it never registered. During the chaos of the Lebanese Civil War in 1982, a British intelligence contact needed to meet a local source in a Beirut market under observation. Both entered at different times, genuinely buying vegetables. They came beside each other for less than 40 seconds, exchanged 3 sentences, broke eye contact, and moved apart. To every observer, it was 2 strangers considering the quality of eggplant. Nothing was memorable. 2 ghosts passed through a war zone and left no footprints. In 1997, a surveillance operative in Tokyo's crowded subway lost visual contact with her target. Instead of searching frantically, she became a Tokyo commuter, absorbing the exact posture, downward gaze, the careful stillness of a woman heading home from work. She moved with the flow of the crowd. because she was indistinguishable from 10,000 other women on that platform. She relocated her target without ever triggering his instincts. She found him because she had made herself unable to be found. Clothing is the most immediate and powerful signal we send to the world. The intelligence principle for clothing is simple but counterintuitive. Aim for the second best version of what people in your target environment are wearing. Not the shabbiest, not the best, just appropriate. The clothes that say, "This person belongs here." Bright colors create visual salience. Muted, medium tones, grays, navy blues, olives, mid-range browns disappear into backgrounds more effectively. Accessories should have no distinctive features. The goal is to be described only as average height, ordinary clothing, no distinguishing features. Invisibility is not only visual. Every environment has a sound signature: the volume of conversation, the way people greet each other, the accent and vocabulary of those who belong. The operative speaks with vocal neutrality, modulating voice, pace, and register to match the environment. They comment only on the obvious and the shared. They fill the expected conversational space and no more. The interaction ends, feeling complete and forgettable. Memory formation builds with time. The longer an interaction continues, the more likely a lasting impression is formed. The art of being invisible is partly the art of the short goodbye. Interactions should end smoothly and naturally before they reach the threshold of memorability. The graceful pivot, beginning the exit while the interaction is still pleasant. The hardest part is the inner state. Fear, anxiety, and excitement leak through microexpressions. The intelligence community's answer is not suppression, but transformation, replacing fear with alert, calm, and functional detachment. Meditation, breathing protocols, and complete focus on the task leave no cognitive space for anxiety. The inner state creates the outer presence. The performance must be grounded in something real, or it will crack. We grant belonging to people we do not interrogate. When someone passes all the unconscious background checks, the right clothes, the right pace, the right eyes, the right emotional register, we simply accept them. We assume they belong because they look like they belong. And once belonging is granted, invisibility follows automatically. The sociologist Irving Goffman called this the presentation of self. Most people perform their social identity unconsciously. The intelligence operative performs it deliberately, with precision. But the irony is that the very precision that makes the performance effective is what makes them seem so unremarkable. The goal of a perfect performance is to appear as though there is no performance at all. In 2010, the FBI arrested 10 Russian sleeper agents across the United States in the illegals program. They had lived in suburban houses, driven to school events, attended neighborhood barbecues, complained about the weather. Their neighbors were stunned, not because the agents had seemed suspicious, but because they had seemed so completely, so perfectly ordinary. One neighbor said, "I can barely remember what they looked like." Another admitted, "I couldn't pick them out of a photo lineup right now." They had not been invisible. They had been perfectly, masterfully ordinary. And ordinariness, in the right hands, is the most complete form of invisibility there is. The art of being nobody is not the art of disappearing. It is the art of appearing so exactly as expected, so completely within the range of the normal, that you are processed and discarded by every mind you encounter, logged as irrelevant, filed as forgettable, and gone before the memory even forms. Let's bring it all together. The human brain is selective. It processes what seems important. Memory is reconstruction built from emotional peaks and contextual contrast. Remove the peaks, remove the contrast, and memory has nothing to reconstruct. Environments have personalities. Blend into the personality and you disappear. Movement, clothing, eye contact, vocal register, interaction, duration, emotional neutrality, each can be calibrated to reduce the memory signature of a presence. And underlying all of it is the deepest principle, the art of belonging. When a person looks, moves, sounds, and behaves like they belong exactly where they are, the social brain grants them invisibility without even being asked. These principles were developed in the shadows of intelligence work. But they reflect something universal about human perception, human memory, and social life. They remind us that what we see is not the world, it is our interpretation of the world. Filtered and edited by a brain doing its best to make sense of everything at once. And somewhere in that filtering, in that editing, in that reconstruction, the invisible people pass through. You just don't remember them. If this documentary took you somewhere you didn't expect, hit lead to let us know. Subscribe so you never miss a deep dive like this one. Share it with someone who would never see a spy in a crowd and might never know one was standing next to them. And drop a comment. Have you ever noticed someone who seemed completely invisible in a room? Tell us. We want to hear your story. Disclaimer. This documentary script is produced for educational and informational purposes only. It explores principles of human psychology, perception, memory, and behavioral science as they have been applied in historical intelligence contexts. All incidents and figures referenced are either matters of public record or are illustrative composites, drawn from publicly available intelligence literature. This content does not promote, encourage, or endorse espionage, illegal surveillance, or any unlawful activity of any kind. Viewers and readers are encouraged to engage with this material critically and responsibly.